Yes guys, welcome back to another video trade breakdown on euro dollar. We're going to continue where we left off last time once again and finish this analysis on euro dollar for the month of October 2021, which is going to be an analysis based on supply and demand, liquidity, order flow and market structure. So with that said, let's dive straight in. Okay guys, so of course we hit our take profit on the previous two trades. So what I'm just going to do is just clean up the chart real slightly, just make it a little bit more clean and point out the obvious market structure over here on the 15-minute time frame. So of course this used to be our swing low over here, and for everyone, why is this our swing low? Let me just mark it out. So when moving back up in towards the highs, we had this impulse, we had this pullback, we had this impulse, boom, break of structure over here, we had a pullback, and then we saw a downside continuation where we saw the first close below that low right over here on the 18th of October. Now going back in time and looking at current market structure, what can we see? Well, at the moment, if I look at this 15-minute time frame, we can see that the price has pretty much slowed down within this candle over here, this pin bar, which pretty much established a break of all of these highs, which are of course supply. So we had an area of supply located over here, which was this buy before the sell-off. Of course, price came back in towards that supply, sold off, and pretty much this area of demand is the area, or is the demand area that broke this area of supply. Now looking at how the market is reacting at the moment, we're also seeing the market react to this blue line. So what is this blue line? Well, if we look on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that this is the EQ of the overall bullish swing range, and what you'll often see is that price pulls back in towards the EQ and sees a reaction from there, and this is exactly pretty much what is happening as of now. So coming in towards this area of demand, coming in towards the EQ on the 4-hour, this is definitely a kind of like a tail sign, also after seeing a 50-minute break of structure, that there is going to be a pullback. Because after a 50-minute break of structure, or after a break of structure in general, what do we expect? We expect a pullback. So price is now pulled back in towards 4-hour discount, and this has increased the probability that the 4-hour swing pullback has now finished. Ideally, price is going to mitigate, of course, that 4-hour area of demand, which is located over here. Let me just draw that on 1 second. Over here, oh yeah, it's over here. Just have to change the chart setting. So this is your 4-hour area of pivot demand, and of course preferably we're going to tap into there and then see further upside continuation, but just keep in mind this does not need to happen. For everybody who has not followed the previous two videos, we're currently trading the daily pullback back up in towards daily supply, either one of the two, and in towards the daily EQ, which is this blue line pretty much, right? Because this is the daily swing from this high all the way down in towards this low, and now we're trading the 4-hour pullback in the expectation that eventually we'll see that further daily downside continuation. Okay, so now going back in towards the 15, what can we see over here? So we're coming in towards this area of 15-minute demand, pivot in the EQ, excuse me, and remember we don't have to hit that 4-hour area of demand. So what are we going to see? We're going to just press play and see what happens. Okay, so what has occurred over here? We've now seen kind of like this V-shaped reaction. So we can obviously see that a lot of demand is coming in towards the market. Now looking at the 15-minute, we can obviously also see that we've had a change of character. What do change of characters signalize on the 15-minute, especially one like this after a 50-minute break of structure? Well, that the 15-minute pullback is potentially incoming right back up in towards the 15-minute highs. Especially if we look at the overall swing structure on the 15-minute, this is your swing high all the way down in towards the swing low. We could trade at least back in towards this first area of supply above this liquidity high. So now preferably what I would love to see is a pullback back down into either this area of demand. Sorry, that's the wrong zone. Either in towards this area of demand, or of course this lowest area of demand, being the demand zones which took out and created and established this change of character. So at the moment, what's going to be interesting is if we just press play. Okay, so we saw a takeout of liquidity over here, but we have not yet tapped in towards supply. So I'm still looking to see if we can establish a new impulse, at least one more impulse back up in towards the highs to take out and mitigate that area of supply. That for me is now priority. For the rest, just looking left and looking at the overall structure here on the 15-minute, just kind of point out what we're trying to achieve over here is that we had this impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback, impulse, break of structure internally, pullback, impulse, pullback to this high, impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback. But now I'm definitely looking to trade and at least achieve this area of supply. Because over here, as we can see, supply is filled. Of course, we haven't seen it close below this internal high, but I can obviously see that this area of supply is filled, and therefore I'm very confident that we will still tap in towards this area of supply located over here. Especially also due to the fact that we're looking at the 4-hour and the daily, which are of course the higher time frame market structures, and the daily and the 4-hour will always hold precedence over the 15-minute time frame. And this is just purely an internal high, so it doesn't really mean that much. Hence why I'm very confident that we are going to move up higher. So looking at 15-minute at this point in time, what do we want to achieve? If we just quickly draw on the 15-minute areas of supply and look at the overall order flow of what areas we want to target within the market, this was our initial supply, got mitigated, supply got mitigated. Then again, this is your area of supply over here, got mitigated, and then this is the only area of fresh supply still within the market, which can push price further down, back down in towards that 4-hour pivot. So at the moment, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking, okay, where can I go long? Well, what I want to do is I want to go long from this lowest zone over here, due to that being the highest probability zone, and then of course with the first target being that zone, and then eventually us targeting a new 4-hour higher high. So what you do is you set your stop loss right below the zone, and then we press play, and then boom, we get tagged into the pip over here. See the upside continuation, and then of course with our first target being this zone, but preferably just targeting a simple 1 to 5, which is my go-to strategy. As we can see, we hit take profit, and from there price just takes off. And now we have all these already mitigated 15-minute zones, which are just going to be reaction points for price. As we can see, price reacts to this 15-minute zone, taps down, but then of course sees further upside continuation, comes towards this 15-minute zone, of course straight away reaction, but I'm not very confident that we're going to see a major push down in price. So just let's play, just for the sake of it. So by the way, what's interesting to understand now is that price has established a new 15-minute higher high, with this being your 50-minute break of structure. Because of course I've been looking at internal structure mostly at this point in time, but if we just focus on the actual structure of the 15-minute swing structure, it's this. So impulse, pullback, impulse, impulse down, pullback, pullback, impulse, and then boom, an impulse again, which breaks this high, pullback, and now potentially a new break of structure. But with this 15-minute break of structure, what do we now expect? Because of the 4-hour, of course, being bullish, and us seeing a 4-hour break of structure over here, this 4-hour break of structure, and this area of 4-hour supply already being mitigated, we now expect after pullback in towards the EQ, despite not reaching this pivot area of demand, us to establish a new higher high over here, and eventually pull back at least into, let's say, this area of 4-hour supply, and eventually of course that daily area of supply as well, located over here. So that's now the game plan. So now what you can do, of course, is go back down in towards the 50-minute. Okay, we've established a new higher high, or a new higher high on the 50-minute, with this being your swing low, this being your swing high. Now of course preferably, let's say we pull back in towards somewhat of this area of demand, with liquidity building up below these equal lows over here. Not happening. So what happens then is that we establish a new break of structure once again over here, and now of course we can then again trade from this being your swing low, this being your new swing high. Then eventually what you'll have to do is look left. Okay, are we going to get a pullback? Then let's say we pull back in towards this area of demand, then you can look for long again. So that's pretty much how we play this market, and what you would have to be looking for, what you could be looking for. So yeah, let's just quickly go back in towards the 4-hour and see eventually how it plays out. Let's just clean up this chart real quick. Just going to clean it up completely. So now what do we see? We see the market pushing up, and of course our area of 4-hour interest is going to be this area of supply approximately over here. So what do we see? And by the way, what we had and what occurred was of course this 4-hour break structure once again, right? So we had boom, 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 And now, of course, we saw break of structure. What do we expect after break of structure? We expect a pullback. So where's the pullback going to originate from? It's going to originate most likely from an area of supply, which is, of course, this area over here. And that is why I expect price to target this area of 4-hour supply before then once again, for example, pulling back and then hitting, let's say, higher daily levels, right? And moving in towards, let's say, this area of daily supply. But as we can see, the 4-hour area of supply is stacked with that daily area of supply. So now we press play once again, and then boom, what can we see? Price tags in towards that 4-hour area of supply, and then from there it starts dropping again. Well, by the way, what you could also do is just draw it over here and kind of get that entire kind of like range supply located over here. And as you can see, it then of course taps in. But preferably, of course, you would want to move higher on that daily, just to get a little bit more of that daily area of the buy before the sell. For everybody, just to understand, that buy before the sell is this candle located right over here. So yeah, that is pretty much that. Let's just quickly watch out how it plays out, just for the sake of it. So it pulls back one more time. So where do we pull back into? For everybody's understanding, we pull back in towards this sell before the buy. What happens? We tap in, we move out again. So what we can then do, of course, is just trade a 15-minute. So for example, once price came into this 4-hour area of supply the first time, well, of course, we're bullish, right? We had this 15-minute break of structure located over here. What do we expect after break of structure? We expect a pullback. So wait for 4-hour supplies to get reached, then wait, for example, for this low to go, push, pullback, supply, further sell-off. And that's how easy it is. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again. We'll do a follow-up on this video one more time where I'll probably highlight these trades as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a fantastic day, and we will speak very, very soon. Thanks, guys.